Two Republicans are warning their own party about the political brinksmanship the House majority is playing on Capitol Hill. This is when it comes to President Biden's impeachment inquiry and the standoff over the budget. First, here's Republican Congressman Ken Buck of Colorado pushing back on the GOP allegations that President Biden committed impeachable offenses, followed by Republican Congressman Steve Womack of Arkansas with his concerns over how Republican leaders are handling the budget talks.
In the case of impeachment, we're looking for treason, bribery, high crimes or misdemeanors, and in this case, high crimes or misdemeanors. So the evidence is very strong against Hunter Biden. There is very little evidence that links Hunter Biden with Joe Biden. We have three committees right now, the Oversight Committee, the Judiciary Committee, and the Ways and Means Committee, that are investigating Hunter Biden's activities. And they're doing a great job. They're uncovering a lot of good information. They just haven't found that link yet with Joe Biden.
Well, it's an unmitigated disaster right now on the majority side. Look, I'm fearful of what this leads to. But let's also remember it's the 18th of September. It's really early in the process, and I say that tongue in cheek. I am concerned right now that there are too many people up here that don't feel like government shutdowns are all that bad a deal, that they don't really affect people. Let me assure you, and I don't care who you are, even if you don't think a government shutdown affects you, trust me, it's expensive, it affects you, and eventually we're going to have to get this thing operational once we shut it down. And the question then becomes, what changes in order to do that? And was it a fool's errand in the beginning?
Joining us now, Democratic Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill of New Jersey. She's a member of the House Armed Services Committee. She's also a Navy veteran. A lot to talk to you about today. I'll start, though, with the government shutdown. How do we avoid it? Any possibilities in sight? And I'd also like your insights on the impeachment inquiry.
Well, I think the easiest way to avoid it would be for the Speaker to stop kowtowing to the far-right extremists in his caucus who don't want to govern, who want to shut the government down in a way that would be very bad for the American people, as you just heard.
And how is he kowtowing?
You know, I mean, he continues to cede to all of their wishes, including on this recent impeachment inquiry. He doesn't have the whole of his conference behind this. He doesn't have any evidence of wrongdoing by the president. He doesn't even have any evidence of a danger to the nation, and yet he's willing to go forward with an inquiry that could lead to overturning a Democratic election, basically because of the whims of the far-right extremists in his caucus.
Congresswoman, good morning. I want to ask you about the American Jobs and Competition Plan, talking about, as Jim Messina suggested, getting people to work, talking about the economy and not focusing on the impeachment inquiry and the other things that are happening in the House of Representatives. What's inside this bill and how would it help American workers?
Well, this is really to take on what China put out over a decade ago about the future of the global economy and how China was going to try to co-opt U.S. technology and other foreign technology in their drive to take over the future. We are now sitting at the table and saying we're going to compete here. We're going to make sure that U.S. businesses have a fair playing field, that things like forced IP transfer, dumping, dual-use technologies that China uses to extract intellectual property and information from U.S. companies is no longer available, so that U.S. companies can have a fair playing field. U.S. workers can compete fairly.
Congresswoman Jonathan Lemire, great to see you this morning. Just about precisely an hour from now, President Biden is going to address the United Nations. Obviously, Ukraine will be at the forefront of his speech. He'll be trying to rally the world to stand with Kyiv, but some of his audience will also be a domestic one. That continuing resolution that Republicans put out a few days ago doesn't include a dime for Ukraine. So how much of a concern is it for you that the United States government is going to be able to keep funding Ukraine's war effort?
Well, it's a key concern of mine. We are the standard bearer for democracies across the world. We have worked closely with our NATO allies to ensure that the unprovoked attack by Russia on a democracy does not go unchecked. We have, I think, seen a lot of success from the Ukrainians in fighting hard for their democracy and their values, and we should support that. So I'm very concerned that you see a rollback, and it just strikes me again that as we are working to help support the Ukrainians in their fight for democracy, as we are working to try to keep this government open and keep the budget, get the budget passed, as I am looking to the future with the American Jobs and Opportunities Act to make sure that we have a strong economy going forward, all we see in the Republican conference right now from the far right is chaos and trumped up witch hunt impeachment charges that President Trump is trying to get them to move forward on. And it really does beg the question if this Republican conference cares at all about governing this nation.
Congresswoman, hey, it's John Heilman here. I have a question to ask you that's just sort of a question that's not so much about your position on something, but more your assessment of something, which is, I think, a core riddle at the heart of our politics right now as we head towards 2024, which is this. You talk to your constituents all the time, and I assume you will have a point of view about why it is that in a moment when the economy, by every objective metric, is getting better, and there's lots of reasons for optimism about what's happening. We're still kind of coming out of COVID in a lot of respects, but almost every metric, the economy's improving. Nobody's feeling it. Nobody's talking about it. The sense of pessimism about the state of the American economy and about America in general is off the charts. What do you think explains that?
You know, I think about this all the time, and as you mentioned, throughout my district all the time, I was just seeing some wonderful evidence of the growing economy as our structural engineering firms are expanding, as we're reshoring American manufacturing. It's really striking how you're seeing the advancement of our economy in northern New Jersey. However, you're right. I think too many people feel uncomfortable. This is a rapidly changing world right now, and what it takes, I think, to make the American people feel good about our future is strong leadership. And unfortunately, we have too many people in Washington, as Mitt Romney pointed out, that don't seem to share the values of this nation and want to make sure that we move forward together in a very strong way.
Democratic Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill of New Jersey, a Navy veteran, thank you very much for being on this morning. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.